combination between sodium, the right combination of chlorine, I create sodium chloride, and what do I have? Table salt. Something that makes our food taste better. If I take the light harmful things and put it in the right combination, it makes them helpful, and God can do the exact same thing with us. You might be saying, well, how does that apply to me? How does that apply to my life? That's not me. I'm not going through this. Mine's not that small of a picture. Mine's a big issue. Pain and suffering can strengthen us. It makes us stronger. It can correct us. It gets us back on track. Sometimes it's just God's way of spanking us on the back of the head. It equips us. It makes us a better witness for Christ. You know, if you've never had a problem or an issue with something, it's very hard to try to explain that to someone. It's very hard to be a good witness to that person if they're dealing with something you just never dealt with. And they're really wanting to understand that. But when you've dealt with that pain or you've dealt with that suffering, you're able to use God and your faith and how you got through it to show them that God is there and God is love. Now, the fourth statement about pain is pain brings an obligation. This is where we take this issue out of the classroom and on to the street. The disciples see this man blind as they were walking along, and they wanted to make him the subject of their conversation. Jesus wants to make him an object of his compassion. Let's look at verses 4 through 6. As long as it is day, we must do the other works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. After saying this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. Now, if the COVID police were around, you'd probably get in trouble for doing that. But think about this. You're a blind guy, and Jesus walks up to you, and this is what you hear. And then the next thing you feel is this wet, moist stuff being put on your face, thinking, did he really just spit in dirt and put it on my face? Can you imagine the feeling that this man is going through? He's blind, and someone just spit in something and shoved it on his face. But in verse 7, Jesus says this. Go, he told him, wash in the pool of Siloam. This word means sent. So the man went and washed and came home seeing. To Jesus Christ, this man was not a theological case study. He was an opportunity to God to show glory. It was an opportunity for him to show compassion. So to deal with the problem of pain academically only, theologically only, is a cop-out. We must take the next step and deal with it practically. So how do Christians deal with pain and suffering? We affirm that God is loving. We affirm that God is powerful. We affirm that God knows everything and everybody and everywhere. We affirm that one day God is going to radiate all pain, all suffering, all sorrow. We have seen this in our study on the book of Revelation. There'll be no death, no crying, no tears. But until he does, I'm going to let the pain change me. And I'm going to help elevate pain and alleviate pain when I see it. So that leads me to these two questions. Are you willing to embrace suffering if it drives you to God? Now be careful before you answer that question. Are you willing to alleviate suffering if it drives others to God? The bottom line is pain always has a purpose. A leper is someone who a lot of the nerve endings in their body kind of went away and are gone, so they really couldn't feel anything. So if they got in something that was too hot in their arm or their hand or the leg was burning, they didn't feel it until there was too much trouble has been caused. Their body is in too much suffering. They don't recognize it. That something can happen and break. They don't realize because they don't have pain. There are some people today that have a problem in one part of their brain that doesn't allow them to feel pain. They could break a leg, they could break an arm. They could injure themselves and not know that there's pain. See, pain has a purpose. When we feel pain, we make a change. When we feel pain, we realize that something is afflicting us, that something is causing a problem, and we need to make a change. If we can't feel pain, we can't change. And if we can't change, we can't glorify God. Pain allows us to come closer to God, allows us to show an example of who we are in God. It's important to realize that pain has a purpose. So when we leave here today, make sure you ask those questions. Are you willing to go through pain for the glory of God? Are you willing to go through pain to help alleviate someone else's pain? But be careful how you answer those questions, because God is going to use you as an example. And the more that you ask him to, the more he's going to use you. Let's pray. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the message today. Thank you for